Wisdom, I don't know about, but I can tell you what God's been teaching me lately, and that's what I want to share. Okay, let me get organized here. I need my Kleenex because I get nervous, my nose runs. I need my water. Okay, what about organizing? Away? Okay. Is that better? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. All right. When these ladies asked me to come and speak, I prayed about it, and everything in me wanted to just say no. But after praying about it, I knew that I couldn't. Then they quickly asked me what my theme was, and had to give that some thought. And I said create, which was somewhat ironic because as I looked at the definition for create, it is to make something out of nothing or to bring into existence. So at that point in time, I had nothing. I just had all these thoughts rolling around in my head and wondered how I was going to pull it all together. Introduce myself, I'm Lori. Many of you know me. I've seen some of you in the foyer, but I am a wife. We celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary this last summer. I am a mom. I have 4 kids. My oldest daughter's right here, about to be 21 and married in May. I have another daughter who's 19 in college, and I have twin boys that will be 17 soon. So, busy years. We've attended Valley Assembly, I think, for 20 years now. So it's been a long time. So let's get started. The word create. The definitions I found were to bring something into existence, to make something out of nothing, which kind of reminds me of women, you know, the drama, we make a lot out of nothing. Or cause something to happen as a result of one's scripture that I picked was Psalms 51:10. And I was, it's create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. But I decided to look it up in some different versions. The CEB version says, create in me, or create a clean heart for me, God. Put a new faithful spirit deep inside me. The ERV, and I don't even remember what these versions are, but I really liked what they said. God, create a pure heart in me and make my spirit strong again. And the CEV version says, create pure thoughts in me and make me faithful again. Well, before they asked me to speak, God has been really speaking to my heart about a lot of different things in the last 6 months or so. And some things that I'm really passionate about. So I just am here to share that with you today, and maybe some of it will resonate with you. What's been on my heart is what I'm seeing in so many women these days: stress, anxiety, depression, and I keep hearing it more and more and more. As women, we know the demands that are put on us and the expectations that are laid on us from our family, our church even, and our driven culture. We've heard that women are created to serve, and I'm very thankful for all the women that were here serving today. We're told that we need to serve in the kitchen, in the nursery, on committees in the home and in our community. And when we think of women that we hold to a standard in the church as a model of femininity, what are they like? They're sweet, they're helpful, they're kind, they're composed, they're well put together, but I'll tell you that they're tired. Comparisons are made by women all the time, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who has felt that I don't measure up, or that I'm not good enough, and wondering who I am and asking questions why. Why is it so hard to create meaningful relationships and sustain them? Why do our days seem so unimportant, not filled with romance and adventure, but with the demands that life places on us? We make comparisons in every area, ladies, and if you're all honest, you can give me a head nod. We compare ourselves in our looks, in our areas of interest, in our creativity, in our energy levels versus a lack of energy, our body types, etc. We all do this, and I know I'm not alone in the area of feeling like I don't measure up. The message we receive from our driven culture, though, unfortunately, is try harder. Well, women are already tired and drained. Our lives are crammed with routine, chores, and hundreds of demands. And somewhere between our growing up days and just yesterday, efficiency took the place of our adventure. We're so tired because we're trying to keep it all together, and we were never created to do that, ladies. I'm seeing stress. Women are experiencing more stress today than ever before, and even more frequently than men. I did some research on this, and the studies are showing that stress levels in women have increased 49% in the last 5 years. And get this, if you're married, your stress level is even higher. So, and are you a pleaser like me, trying to make everyone happy? It's exhausting. Do you feel like I only count when I can keep everything smooth and on an even keel? When I can make everyone happy, when everyone likes me, or they approve of the job I'm doing, or when I care for others, or I only matter when I can give up something for the sake of others? Stress comes along with health issues, anxiety and depression being one of them, which is something that I've had to walk through myself. And if any of you want to know more about that journey, you can ask me later. Stress can cause weight gain, weight loss, hair loss, makes our cycles get all messed up. We can have ulcers, digestive issues, stomach issues, headaches, heart issues, vision issues, and the list goes on. And that brings me to a little bit of my story, and many of you already know this, so just bear with me. But about 7 years, we were just returning to school from Christmas break. Just had a couple of weeks off, and I'm an interpreter for deaf and hard of hearing students in Central Valley. And I returned to work, and I was dragging, and I couldn't figure out why. We had just had 2 weeks off. I shouldn't be dragging. Just feeling like I couldn't keep my head above water, and I couldn't figure out what was going on with me. I thought, well, maybe I could take a sick day, but I wasn't really sick. So I thought, well, that's not right. But I pushed on. January 23rd, this very day, 7 years ago, I get a call that my grandmother in Montana had a heart attack, and the helicopter and 911 was called, and she was being airlifted to the hospital but didn't make it. So of course I'm sad about this, but I kick into mom mode, and I know I need to start planning the bereavement leave for both me and my husband, prepare to take the kids out of school, we've got to do laundry, get ready to go, right? Well, I've attended Bible study fellowship on Monday nights for years and years. So 3 days after my grandmother's death, I'm home. I took that day as bereavement, and I'm packing and I'm getting ready to go. And I usually go early to help greet the women and usher and help them find a seat. So my husband comes in, and I'm making dinner, and I said, oh good, you stirred the dinner. I've got to jump in the shower and get ready for Bible study. So I jump in the shower, and I step out, and the most excruciating pain right in my chest dropped me to my knees. And I didn't know what was happening. I threw a robe on and went out to the kitchen where my husband was and said, something's really wrong, and the kids were around, so he said, you're scaring the kids, let's go back to the bedroom and figure this out. And I'm laying there with this massive chest pain. I'm 38 years old. My arm is now going tingling and numb, and it seems like maybe it's a heart attack, but I'm 38, I have no risk factors, it can't be, right? So my husband decides that we're going to ER for sure. And responsible pleaser mode, I tell him, you have to call Julie at Bible Study Fellowship and tell her I won't be there to usher tonight. And he says, I'm pretty sure that the ushers and the greeters are going to be fine without you. We're going to figure out what's going on. So we get to the emergency room at Valley Hospital, and they get me right back, and before I know it, they're saying, this woman is having a heart attack. Where's our helicopter pilot? Reminding me of what just had happened 3 days ago with my grandmother. They put me on a gurney, and they're rushing me out to the helicopter, and the nurse stops briefly and tells my husband, would you like to kiss her before she goes? So we did, but we both kind of looked at each other like, is there something that they're not telling us? I go in to the helicopter as my husband has to drive underneath all the way to the hospital. He made some important phone calls, and he tells me he was crying out to God the whole time, wondering if he was a single dad already or not. I'm in the helicopter thinking, okay, well, if this is it, if this is my time, I'm going to be in heaven with Jesus, and I'm okay. I was at peace with that. I'm going to see my grandmother, right? But my fear was for my kids. And I started praying, God, just take care of my kids, my husband. That's all I could say. So I get there, and they take me directly into the heart catheter lab. And they went in to do a heart cath and put in a stent. But I firmly believe so many people were praying. At that point in time, social media, everything, word spread so fast that I truly believe it changed the outcome of that event. I did not need a stent. It cleared on its own. It did leave quite a bit of damage behind, but I spent the next couple nights in cardiac ICU and then was moved to the cardiac floor. I was really weak, but again, I'm telling the doctor, when can I get out of here? Because I have to be in Montana by Thursday for my grandmother's service. He said, no, you're not going. I will not authorize that. It's very possible you'll end up in Montana, you'll have another heart attack, and you'll be stuck there. And he was planning to keep me longer than that anyway. So Thursday came, that's when the emotions came. But both my husband and I will tell you that there was a peace that flooded our room more than anything that I could have ever imagined. The doctor determined that the heart attack and everything that had happened to me was most likely stress related. He said, go home and reduce stress. I didn't even realize I was stressed. But my physical heart was under attack at that point. So I go home saying, okay, how do I do this? How do I reduce stress? And that set me on a journey. God had knocked me flat for some reason. It was such odd circumstances, so I had to ask him, what are you trying to teach me? What am I supposed to learn from this? Well, in the weeks to come, many people recommended this book, Boundaries, if anybody's read it, Dr. Henry Cloud and John Townsend. It was referred to me over and over, and I thought, okay, I'm probably supposed to read this book, right? So that sent me on a journey. From this book, I realized that, or I learned that God is the ultimate boundary setter, and it is in his very nature to set boundaries. I guess I never really looked at him that way. He clearly says what he will allow and what he won't allow. He also sets an example for us with rest. There's a basic boundary word, and it's no. Had to learn that. If it doesn't line up with priorities, then the answer has to be no. There's guilt that comes with that, but Pastor Al, the former pastor at this church, had preached a sermon right at the same time that this was all happening about living your life for an audience of one. At the end of the day, if I can look at my intentions and measure them up before God, I'm okay. And that was what started taking the guilt of saying no away from me. 2 Corinthians 9:7 warns about giving to others reluctantly or under compulsion. John 12:43, it warns us of valuing man's approval over God's. I learned to live for an audience of one, And when we don't do that, we're missing out on life, and I realized that too. So, took some of those things I learned, and I'll tell you what we did. I was recently flying this week to San Diego and back, and each leg of the flight attendant gets up and gets her safety spiel and talks about the oxygen masks. And when they come down, you're supposed to secure yours first before you help others. I learned that I needed to do that. I needed to listen to my body, because clearly it was probably trying to tell me something back when this all happened, and I wasn't really paying that much attention. Not everyone's emergency needs to become my emergency. I need to make more time for the things I enjoy. We started taking a lot of things off our plate, and we asked for help. Which, ladies, I know it's hard to do, but there's people willing. It's a blessing for them to be able to step out and help. I realized that my blessing could be, my home could be a blessing and not a burden, because up until that point in time, I think it was becoming a burden for me. Entertaining, I love to entertain, and many of you have been at one of my parties. I love it, and I do fully enjoy it, but my kids did not. Not so much, because of all the cleaning and all the things that needed to happen. It was not a happy time. Am I right, Carissa? My kids' bedrooms, I don't know about some of you ladies, or if you can remember back when you had kids in your home, sometimes they're knee deep, and that drives me crazy. I just don't go in there anymore. It's not a fight I'm willing to have, I'm gonna embarrass you, because her bedroom is one of the worst. It was a huge fight for us. I don't go in there anymore. And she's about to get married, and I'm glad that has not been one of our fights all the way leading up to this. I learned how to rest, to rejuvenate, and I had to discover that I really get rest and relaxation, rejuvenate when I'm by myself. Some people are really energized by being with a lot of people. And I had to figure that out for myself. I always considered myself social, but I guess I'm somewhat of an introvert, and I get energized by having time alone. I needed to learn to enjoy life. I realized that I'm not gifted with an abundance of energy like some of you women, but I am gifted with fragility, and I needed to accept that. Our list of priorities we made at that time, does it get out of sync? Yes, often. And we need to reset that. So I started wondering, okay, what is my purpose? What is my value? What am I supposed to be doing in this life? This book, Captivating, by John and Stacy Eldridge, is amazing. And quite a bit of what I'm going to say today was taken from this book, as well as some others. Who are we as women? I want to read how this book describes creation to you. And my friend Cheryl Monson teaches 4th grade, and when she sits to read with her kids, she tells them to play a movie in their mind. What's that movie playing in your mind? So I'm going to invite you to play the little movie in your mind as I read this. From water and stone to pomegranate and rose, to leopard and nightingale, creation ascends in beauty. The plot is thickening. The symphony is building and swelling higher and higher to a crescendo. No wonder the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy. A great hurrah goes up from the heavens. The greatest of all masterpieces is emerging. What was once formless and empty is now overflowing with life and color and sound and movement in 1,000 variations. Most importantly, notice that each creature is more intricate, more noble, and mysterious than the last. A cricket is amazing, but it cannot compare to the wild horse. Then something truly astonishing takes place. God sets his own image on the earth. He creates a being like himself. He creates a son. This is the glorious intimacy of God's creation. All the rest of God's masterpieces up until this point sprang into being just from God speaking it to be. And then he decided to create his image bearers. He formed them with his own hands, and he breathed life into them. Truly, the masterpiece seems complete, and yet the master says something is not good. It's not right, something's missing, and that person is Eve. She is the crescendo, the final astonishing work of God, woman. In one last flourish of creation, it comes to a finish, not with Adam, but with Eve. She is the master's finishing touch. Given the way that creation unfolds and how it builds to an ever higher and higher work of art, can there be any doubt that Eve is the crown of creation? All of creation, I hope that movie played in your mind. I see colors, I see movement, I see all of God's creation. It is all incredible. But it wasn't until he created Eve that the crown of creation was placed into being. All of creation is made for us to enjoy, but the profound characteristics that are given to Eve deep inside of her heart are still there for every woman after. Through us, God is trying to reveal something about himself. Now, men, they reveal a whole different side of God, but women, he created us to reveal something about him. We have longings deep in our heart. They were written there by God, and it's trying to tell you something essential about being a woman. The book talks about 3 desires that we all have in our hearts. We have a desire to be romanced, a desire to play an irreplaceable role in a great adventure, and to unveil beauty. That's what makes us come alive. You think back, if you have daughters or granddaughters or the games you played as a girl, dress up, makeup, princesses, you played with dolls, you were a mommy, you had a kitchen set, you cooked. The other things you might have done are color, create, watch princess movies, listen to music. And the more the dress flew when you twirled, the better the dress. How did that make you feel? Lovely? That little girl that felt all those things way back then is still there inside each one of us. The same desires that God placed in us at birth are still there. Of course, in our fallen world, we realize that many of our desires have been unmet, neglected, or assaulted. We live in a fallen world, things break, laundry never ends, the monotony weighs us down, and any given day, sin just arises from our flesh and we don't even know where it came from. Then we tend to hide like Eve did. We hide behind our makeup, we hide behind our humor, behind our angry silences, and we withdraw. But think about this. Ezekiel describes Satan as exceedingly more beautiful than all of the angels. His pride got ahead of him. He desired to be God, not to be a servant of God. He was cast out of heaven for his pride. So then, the crown of creation, God placed his beauty at the core of every woman. We replaced Satan. That beauty is now ours. Women, we are life givers, and we draw people to ourselves and to God with our beauty. Now, is it any wonder that Satan really hates us? You look back in history, and there's a lot of history, women under attack. But the good news is that question Am I lovely? It has nothing to do with your looks, your makeup, your clothes, your shoes, your handbags, and it has nothing to do with your past. The beauty is already inside of you. And that's something I want you to take today. God put it there. It's already there. Beauty is essential, and it is the very essence of God, and we are created in his image. He himself is beauty, and that is one of his characteristics that he placed in us. Beauty can be seen and felt. It affects others, and every one of you have a beauty of your own to unveil. God made us captivating to the very core of our being. So this is your role, ladies. This is your purpose. Beauty speaks, it invites, it nourishes, it comforts, inspires, it's transcendent. It's our most immediate experience of heaven, all of which are characteristics of God himself. This is the irreplaceable role that we are meant to play. We are to reveal the beauty that is inside of us and draw others to God through that. Is that hard to believe? Well, I'm going to read this excerpt from the book. Most women doubt very much that they have any genuine beauty to unveil. It is, in fact, our deepest doubt. When it comes to the issue surrounding beauty, we vacillate between striving and resignation. New diets, new outfits, new hair color, work out, work on your life, try this discipline or that new program for self-improvement. Oh, forget it. Who cares anyway? Put up a shield and get on with life and hide. Hide in the busyness, hide in church activities, and hide in depression. There's nothing captivating about me, certainly not anything inside of me. I'll be lucky just to pull it off on the outside. Unfortunately, many women are hurt and wounded, and God also created us with emotions. They are the very color of life, aren't they? We all love the happy emotions, but we have to realize that God created the negative emotions also. Why? They're like a smoke alarm in your house. Those negative emotions are trying to alert you that there's a situation, that there's something that you need to tend to, something that you need to take care of. I want to give you guys all permission to fall apart when necessary. Lord knows I have. Let the tears and the emotions come and allow yourself to feel again, and you will. Realize that the people that deeply hurt you were deeply hurt themselves. Know that forgiveness only requires one person. That's between you and God. Reconciliation requires two, and that may never happen. But forgiveness is dependent on you. The beauty of a heart in love with Jesus naturally results in keeping his commands. We need to focus on our hearts, ladies. That's where it all begins. What do you find beautiful? Again, you can play a movie in your mind. I thought of a garden, a meadow, sunset, sunrise, a blue ocean, a bright blue sky, flowers, fields, rainbows, music. Music is not visual, but it reaches deep inside the soul. There's another example that the beauty is already within. Animals, children, waterfalls, clouds, rivers, trees, the tropics, the desert. What do you find beautiful? Who do you find beautiful? This book talks about women at rest. And I'm going to read a little bit about what it says about that. A woman at rest is a woman that has found her true beauty and purpose in God alone. And I want you to think about how it feels when you're with her. A woman in her glory, a woman of beauty, is a woman who is not striving to become beautiful or worthy or enough. She knows in her quiet center where God dwells that he finds her beautiful and has deemed her worthy in him, and she is enough. We all know someone like that in our lives. How does it feel when you're with her? It's comfortable, it's enjoyable. She allows God to fully inhabit her. She's captivating. She draws others to herself, and she draws others to God. God in the Bible very clearly sets an example of rest. We need to take time too, ladies, to rejuvenate and relax. God himself set that example, and it doesn't come naturally. We have to trust that if we take a day off, ladies, the world is not going to stop turning. God placed us in the confines of a 24-hour day, and within that day, we are to rest. He knew what he was doing when he did that. He knows we need that time. The definition of rest is peace, ease, and refreshment. The definition of relax is to become loose, less stiff, and to have a milder manner. If we're with a woman at rest, we're with a woman who is at peace. I've always believed in preventative medicine, whether it's we wait till it's gone too far and our relationships are so far, we think, beyond saving. The more we can do to prevent these things, the better off we're going to be in our future. I asked the older women in the church, the Bible talks about the older women teaching the younger women, and in the prime timer Sunday school class, I asked Norm if he would ask the women some questions to get some of their advice on, what do I tell young women, ladies, moms, grandmothers, people that are just burned out, tired. Almost all of them said time with God. Well, for those of us who feel we struggle with our time, sometimes that's even. But they say even a short time, and even just one scripture, begin with that. Start trading babysitting with a friend. Make sure you take a night out. Set your priorities and let the non-essential things go. Have your kids and your husband step up more. Ask for help. And I say plan for fun. There's a study that shows that we all know how to spend our free time, but 58% of women feel we must force ourselves to postpone that free time until we have completed our chores. I know I'm guilty of that. I keep thinking I'll have fun when. I have to turn that around. Simple things, take a bubble bath, read a book, find ways to de-stress. Have a cup of coffee, take a walk, take a nap, make something, create. And I love naps, by the way. Disobedience in the Garden of Eden is what created this issue, the stress and that desire to hide. But obedience today can help stop that. If you can release your grip and control on your families, on your lives, on your careers, it will allow us time to focus on our hearts and the beauty that God's placed there. Create means you have to make something out of nothing, bring into existence, or cause something to happen as a result of one's actions. So it means you have to do something. I like acronyms, so I don't know if it helps you, but I say create time for these following things. C in the word create, make time for your Creator. Ask Him to show you what He sees in you. The R, we are relational to the core as women. Your husband needs to come below your relationship with God, and your kids come below that. Focus on relationships. E, your emotions. Evaluate what they're alerting you of. Don't be afraid to feel them. God gave us those negative emotions to alert us that there's something we need to tend to. A, have fun. Have adventure. Don't wait until the chores are done. T, talk and teach. Talk with other women. The more you can open up with other women, the better you feel. And teach the younger generation, like the Bible, is escape. Take time to rest, relax, and rejuvenate. When my kids were in preschool, the preschool teacher would always say, kids need slow to grow. Well, I've kind of realized that for me in my own life. And so some of the things I've recently been doing, I'm not always carrying my cell phone around anymore. I'm thankful for it, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of a nuisance sometimes. I don't wear a watch. Today, the time doesn't matter to me. I'm here. This is what I'm going to give my time to. drive the speed limit or drive below. And Pastor Ken Menkins, I'm one of those people that makes him angry because he's behind me. Limit your time on Facebook. Those of you that are on Facebook, I've limited my time because I find that at the point at which I start having these feelings of superiority or inferiority, both of which are sin, I need to get off Facebook. Put your phone away. Focus on the person that you're with, the person that's in front of you. Get to know them. Help them unveil their beauty and you unveil yours. Texts, I've learned that they don't require an immediate response. I'm thankful for them, but remember the days when you had to wait until you got home to find out if there was a message on your answering machine. Things can wait, and all become your emergency, and the text can wait. They need to know you're not at their beck and call. So, and that brings me to a point. My friend Molly Drew, whenever I want to contact her, I call her, and we talk. Well, at Christmas time, we're spending Christmas together, and she says she has texting. And I said, Molly, you have texting? She said, yeah, but if you text me, I won't answer back. She said, you have to call me. She wants voice-to-voice talking. She doesn't want a text. So don't ever text Molly Drew. She's not going to answer. Pick up the phone and call her. So I want to ask today, what is your story? Have you been through a divorce? Have you lost a spouse, a child, a mother, father, a loved one? Are you a cancer survivor? Are you living with cancer today? Are you caring for an aging parent? Are you just trying to make it by? Are you struggling with illness or disease, or just barely keeping your head above water? Let that story become a part of who you are. Absorb it. It has made you who you are. But do not let it snuff out that inner beauty that you possess, that God placed there for you to unveil. Don't let it take away that irreplaceable role that you have to play. We have to fight it, because Satan would love nothing more than to take that beauty away. This book also says the story of your life is also the story of a long and passionate pursuit of your heart by the one who knows you best and loves you most. We have to quiet ourselves to realize that. And I want to ask another question and read one last thing from the book. Is it possible that maybe you are doing more than God desires you to be doing right now? Ask yourself that question. Ask Him. People have a tendency to put extra yokes on others, but Jesus said that His yoke is easy and His burden is light. Ask Him if there are some things He wants you to give up and stop doing in order to make more room in your life for rest. It's 2016. We're always looking at new goals. Our heart should be number one, our time with God. So this is just, whether you use it or not, it's just an example to maybe go by, helping you reset the priorities and letting go of the non-essentials in your life. And also, I don't know how many of you have discovered the new adult coloring books that are supposed to be stress relievers. Why is that? There's still a little girl inside of all of us. We love to color. It takes us back to those days when we were carefree. So there is a bookmark, and there are colored pencils on your table, and there's your time to color. Take it home, stick it in your Bible, and remind yourself that it is, that you need to take time to create. So in closing, another version of that scripture that I read, create in me a clean heart, renew a right spirit in me. It's from the Message version, and I'm not sure how they came up with this version, but I am going to say it as a prayer because I think it was amazing and very applicable, and this is where I will end. Soak me in your laundry, O God, and I will come out clean. Scrub me, and I will have a snow-white life. Tune me into foot-tapping songs. Set the once broken bones to dancing. Don't look too close for blemishes. Give me a clean bill of health. God, make a fresh start in me. Shape a Genesis week out of the chaos of my life. Don't throw me out with the trash or fail to breathe holiness in me. Bring me back from gray exile and put a fresh wind in my sail. I think we all need that. Something that I don't even have time to get into, but this is a book I discovered right at Christmas time. Praying in color. It's a whole new creative way for those of us who have minds that wander as we sit down to pray. It's a way of scripture memory, word studies in the Bible. It's really interesting and creative. So if you're interested in this, come talk to me afterwards and I'll share that with you. Thank you all for coming today. I can't believe this turnout, and enjoy the rest of our tea.